Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call to order this special board meeting of the Swatara Township Board of Commissioners. It is September 16th at 7:07 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Tuckey.
Here.
Commissioner Zubek. Commissioner Connolly.
Here.
Vice President Steele.
Here.
President Ellis.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And then just for the public, Commissioner Zubek was going to participate virtually, but things have changed on her end, so I just wish her well, and she'll be back for our meetings next month. And I do want to announce that our board did have an executive session to discuss personnel, and that was held on September 10th. Is that the right date?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're up to visitors' requests and comments. If you have comments, please come forward or state your name and address, as well as write it down for record-keeping purposes, and then you may begin.
Good evening. My name is Lee Snyder, and I live at 6140 Hartford Drive. Earlier this week, I sent an email out to you commissioners, and I asked about the resolution that you're going to be approving today for the Smith land. I received no response back. I was told then verbally that I was not able to get the information that I had requested. However, when I reported that back to our attorney that we have, he told me that's information that we could get, and he reached out to your solicitor, I believe, and was able to get that information. So as a resident, I feel like that's information that I should have been able to get without having to get the attorney involved and pay him to get the same exact information that was released to him that we now have that you wouldn't give us earlier this week. So I'm just a little disappointed in that. I think you guys have to figure out like what information you can release and what you can't, and have that be pretty consistent. Also, this change that you're voting on today.
Sorry, can I just respond to that point? Because it's not entirely correct. My understanding, and I did speak with the attorney earlier today, I provided him with a copy of the resolution that this board approved at the August 13th meeting, but the resolution that was prepared for tonight's meeting is not a public record until the commissioners act on it this evening. So I'm not sure what you requested initially, but the attorney just asked for the August resolution, which I did provide him. If you were looking for tonight's, so that's what he was asking about, was tonight's resolution, but he understood that was not a public record yet.
And you had also provided him with the amendment to the resolution that you're...
I did not.
I have that from him. I have your email, sir. My attorney forwarded the email that you had sent to him that said the resolution is the same. You're just removing the 90-day requirement.
Correct. So I did not send him the resolution from this evening's meeting.
You're correct. You didn't send him the resolution, but you sent him exactly what the resolution had proposed.
That's answering the question, though. I could answer your
So
question.
anyway, and I will tell you, and I will ask you, when you guys are approving something, like this thing that's on this, that you're removing, should have never been on the resolution in August. Who's reviewing this to make sure that what is there, what you're approving, is exactly what it needs to be? And we're not jumping ahead, and there's not stuff as part of the plan that's not supposed to be there. I mean, maybe you should check with some type of legal counsel to review your documents before you approve them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other visitors requesting comments at this time? All right. We'll go ahead and move on. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. We're up to item 8, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Motion.
I'll second. Do we have any discussion?
I have a discussion just for items C through G. There's 5 public works employees on this agenda to be hired. Part of the discussion with the personnel committee was that we would go through the interview process, and then we would give this board an opportunity to take into consideration budget constraints that we would be under with moving forward with 5 applicants. That didn't take place, nor did it go through the personnel committee or the finance committee. And I understand the interim manager might have jumped the gun on these 5 hires, but this is something that needs to be discussed. If you look at the budget meeting that we just had earlier today around 6 p.m., you're looking at 3 months just to get us to the end of the year, a $54,000 a month increase with these 5 hires. That's a total of about $163,000. And then with the request for 2 additional, you're looking at almost $900,000 added to our budget with no additional revenue. I think we need to really do our due diligence. I understand that we do need some hiring. I don't necessarily see the need for 5 at this point in time. I thought we would have at least discussed this, because my direction to the interim manager was begin the interviews and then let me speak to the board about the budget considerations that would need to be addressed. And it's not a 1-for-1. I've heard that, leading up to this meeting, that we had resignations and that it was a 1-for-1 to replace a position. But when you have buyouts, when employees retire, and for simplicity, the position's $131,000. So if an employee leaves today, and let's just say for simplicity their buyout is $50,000, well, like I told you, $54,000 for the next 3 months. So there's only actually $4,000 left for that position. In this case, we don't have that. In this case, from my review, we've already spent $100,000 in buyout. And I think we're premature. I think we could have worked a solution to be able to do this. Now, these items are funded out of the general fund. And so far this year, out of the general fund, unbudgeted items were the Social Security payout, some other employee payouts as well, some corrections with payroll, some administrative buyouts because of PTO and vacation time. So I can't at this point in time, because I don't have all the information to necessarily make the right decision to do this. And that leads me to my next discussion. And as part of the hiring process, I don't think these are authorization hires. I think they're more of conditional authorization to hire, because I think the interim township manager failed to get applications for all 5 of the applicants. And then the next thing is he also failed to run the background check. So these are conditional offers. These aren't authorizations to hire, because until we have applications on file, and it's my understanding going through the documents, we only have 1 application. And until we have applications on file and also the background checks, these are just conditional hires, not authorization to hire. And that's the only issue I have with these. I think we can revisit this properly with the finance department and the personnel committee. And I'm in favor of A, B, H, and I. But C through G right now at this point in time, I can't do. And that's all I have on the matter, Madam President.
Yes, and just for clarification, the information that you're talking about with it saying authorization to hire Public Works, that came from the HR manager. That didn't come from the interim township manager. And she is under your committee of personnel. So if there was a miscommunication or something like that, that's where it came from. It didn't have anything to do with the interim township manager. So I can show you the agenda. It came from the manager for HR that said, please add attached hiring authorization forms for Public Works replacement positions to the next agenda. So generally what has happened is if she has sent something, it was something that was discussed with you. So if you're saying that that didn't take place, that's not part of my knowledge, and that's how it has worked previously when I've received information from her in the past. Yeah, you're good.
I can talk. She did that at the direction of the intern manager, not at my direction. And when I questioned it when it hit the agenda for the last meeting, that was the discussion. But my instructions were pretty clear to the intern manager that the discussions that need to be had to be had with this board to discuss it from a budgetary standpoint, and that didn't take place. And ultimately, at the end of the day, she does work directly for the township manager, and she followed his direction, and in following his direction, she put it on the agenda.
And again, with regard to that, that's not the information that I was provided, and it came from her, who again has worked with you extensively on any other hirings. And this is replacing 5 jobs where people retired or left from. So that's why we're moving forward with it.
I'd like to add the Park Commissioner Steele brought up about the 2 new hires. I'm also co-chair of finance, so that was presented tonight. in a budget meeting, so I'm not going to jump to, say that we'd be able to do that financially. But it was my understanding on these that they were replacements, and I was not privy to the applications, the resumes, and just saw it going through the process, but it was on for a meeting last Wednesday, and then it carried over to tonight, so I didn't really know that there was any issue, and I will say that I'm not sure that we automatically have a start date. So
No,
some of the other financial concerns can possibly be addressed by extending that or looking at the what the payouts were of the people that left. But I do know my thought process seeing this, not as a committee chair, but as a commissioner and a resident, was we've been losing people, and just recently we lost somebody who wanted to be a firefighter, and now he's going to be a firefighter, so that was one of the most recent ones. There's only so much time to get everybody up to speed with the brush cleanup, the leaves, and the snow. So I feel like if we bring people on board this time of year where things might be a little slower, mowing has slowed down and there's just a little bit of a gap, we'll be prepared moving into some of the really busy seasons. So I have to say I support the 5 that are on here. Concerned, but want to hear more information about the 2 that were discussed earlier. And I was not aware of the total dollar amount on the payouts, but some of these hires are not immediate hires. The person doesn't leave and then the person takes their spot. So there's a gap of time where we're saving some money by not paying. And we'll take a look and see how much that closed that gap. But I get the argument on all sides of the issue, but I came prepared to vote to hire these 5 people tonight.
Good.
Yeah. Kevin, how long does it take to train one of these public works employees properly?
So it takes quite a long time, and I'll just say too, we are upcoming into a busy season, right? We have township brush collection next week, and then mid-October we start to roll into leaf collection. That's a 8 to 10 week process. It's every person on deck to collect the leaves, and then as soon as we and again, Mother Nature dictates sometimes, but then we transition right into snow removal. The other part of it too is, leaf collection is a great time to learn the township, right? Because our crews go and pick every street, the entire township in a week. Then we go back and do it again, and so on and so forth. So, fall is certainly a good time, but it does take time, right? Some of these candidates have public works experience. I think they each bring good things to the table for the township, and that's why I recommend it. So.
Okay, and currently, how many hands do you have right now?
I think currently our staff is 6.
And over the past year, we've lost quite a few for many reasons. 2 retirements, there was something else with a few other employees, and one currently that just resigned.
Correct.
So I'm concerned about our finances, there's no doubt, but I'm also concerned about having the tasks that we need to do in this township and make sure we're safe, make sure the employees are safe so they're properly trained. Because driving these in the winter time for plowing and stuff, driving these vehicles, driving the equipment around for collecting leaves and the brush and the other stuff, we definitely need some time to be able to get them properly trained so we don't have issues for anyone's safety. So thank you for that.
The only thing that I'll add too is if we're talking about the direction to hire these employees, I do have an exchange where I reached out to Ms. Fink asking where we are with replacing the 4 at the time that were left. So if we want to say it was anybody, you can say it was me. It wasn't the interim township manager. And again, as has worked every other time, when there was a hiring, the HR manager coordinated with the personnel chair. So if there's a problem, you can put it on me, but I'm supportive of hiring the people that are on the agenda and replacing all of the positions that we lost throughout this year.
I have one follow-up to Commissioner Tuckey's question. Kevin, are you 100% certain that we can afford all 5 of these positions?
That's a tough question, Commissioner Steele. I can't say that I'm 100%. I feel like we have cut as many expenses as we can throughout the past 2 years. I feel like we're at a good place. Is it perfect? Probably not. But I can tell you, my staff, our staff has done everything they can to still try to provide the same service for our residents. So, to answer your question, I'm not really sure, but again, it's a work in progress.
And I'm just going to make my final last statement just to make some points. In 22, I believe we switched over to all public works, and the contract aligned just as right, where there is no separation between public works and parks and recs. So we actually have more than 7 employees, because those in parks and recs and those in public works, which we still separate internally, I'm not going to even dig into that, have the ability to all hands on deck for leaf season, and that includes our stormwater employees. And I think to drive home my point, and correct me if I'm wrong on anything I'm stating, I think to drive home my point is, where do we fit this in the budget-wise? And budgetary-wise, we could do the same thing as utilize, some of these employees for stormwater if they were stormwater hires for the winter, whether it be for leaf pickup or brush pickup. So that's my main point, where if we could have looked at it and afford 2 here and maybe 1 more on the stormwater side, and then maybe revisit the other 2, but that wasn't the option. And that's my main point. I'm not going to go back and forth and, debate this any further. I said what I had to say, and that's where I'll stay put, because at the end of the day, some of the things that you have to realize is this government costs the general fund costs $49,000 a day to operate. And we can say that, we had 7 retire or 5 retire or 3 retire. The reality of it is this board has to make a decision, and that was part of my instruction, that if you want to hire, yes, you can hire. If we don't have the additional revenue in the general fund, where are you going to get the money from? This board has to make a decision then in the next 3 months that we are willing to pull it out of capital reserves. So you can afford it from a capital reserve standpoint. If you don't get additional revenue next year where you can't afford it, you better make sure you have almost $131,000 per employee to pull out of capital reserves. This is simple math, folks. It's either you have the revenue to afford your expenses, or you don't. You then must take the money out of your savings account, and then when you deplete your savings account, because it's government funding, the other funds are restricted. So you can't just move money around to pay bills for the general fund. And that's ultimately what, deciding factor is. I think it could have did some more due diligence and talk, whether it was between HR. I didn't know the level of involvement of the president or the interim manager. Just more communication before we brought this forward, because I think we could have did a better job of that. And that's the only point I want to drive home. I don't want to berate anyone or belabor this debate. And that's all I have, Madam President.
And the only thing that I'll add to that is we have a public works department that has worked extremely hard to keep up with demands, short-staffed. This is giving them a break, and this is making it so that they're able to function, get everything that needs to be done completed, as well as be able to make it safe for residents when we get into the season with snow, This is something that's important. Again, these were 5 positions where people left. There is no extra. So if you're saying that we would have had trouble with hiring these, then that meant we already had trouble with paying the 5 people that we had. So that's the only point that I'd like to make, that this is to give back and essentially help the staff that we already have that has done a lot with less. Does anyone have anything else? All right, Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice President Steele?
I will be a yes to A, B, H, and I,
President Ellis?
Yes.
and a no to C, D, E, F, and G.
All right. We are on to item 9, consideration of approval of Act 537 special study. We have some presenters, and this item, I was just going to say, this item is the reason that this special meeting was being held. So, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Mike Schober. I'm with Arrow Consulting. We're the engineer for the Swatara Township Authority. I have Mike Barner here. Everybody knows Mike. We are here today to consider this special study that's being done under Act 537. And all I want to do is spend about 5 minutes to give you the lay of the land, and you can ask questions if you want. So the large interchange project out here at Eisenhower has really impacted the sewers that Swatara operates, to the point where many of them have to be abandoned, and we have to build 2 new pump stations to get the sewage to where it needs to go. So the impact of that is, under Act 537, we have to do a special study before we can even apply for permits for these pump stations. So the special study, it's not like a big Act 537 plan. It's more of a boiled down version that addresses just the pump stations themselves. It does include many of the components, doing Pennsylvania Museum Commission searches and PNDIs, soils and wetlands. And it also included a 30-day public comment period. The plan was advertised in the newspaper, and public had 30 days to comment. For the record, I did not receive any written comments regarding that. So this is a basic overview of the project, the whole Eisenhower Interchange project. I will do some zooming in on this. I know this is difficult to see, but the roadway rebuilds and relocations are impacting a lot of sewers. And there's 2 pump stations that will have to be built. The first, we call the west one, that is in the parking lot of Bass Pro. And the second one on the east side is along the railroad that collects sewage from the east. So just taking a look at each of those separately, I can give you a sense of what we're doing. So all the sewage coming from the south of this location, for the most part, flows down along Eisenhower or Paxton in this direction, and it crosses over I-83 in this area, and it proceeds on this side to a manhole that goes to the Capital Region water system. Due to all this new construction, all these sewers have to be abandoned. So all the sewage flow from these areas to the south are going to be redirected to this pump station right here. And we'll simply just then pump the sewage up on this side to that same manhole that goes to Capital Region water. So from a planning perspective, these pump stations are sized to handle the existing flow that we have, and we flow metered that flow, so we know exactly what it is. We also know how big the pipes are that are coming into the pump stations, so the pump stations won't see any more flow than those pipes can carry. Similarly, on the east side, this sewer coming from the east used to flow under the 83 interchange, head in a northerly direction, and then head east or west toward Capital Region Water. So all these sewers in here have to be abandoned. They're either going to be excessively deep or under bridges, but they will be inaccessible for maintenance or replacement. So the concept here is to build a smaller pump station along the railroad, and that force main will pump the sewage up along the east side into an existing sewer in this area, which will then flow by gravity back to where it's already going. And again, from a planning perspective, we're just sizing this pump station large enough to handle the existing flows, which we've metered and we know what they are, plus additional flow that the pipes could carry. That's the basic concept. It's very simple in concept, very complicated to get it to happen, but we can get into all those details if you like. But that's the overview. What we're looking at from a schedule perspective, I've updated this from the original plan to bring it to present day. If this is adopted tonight, we can get it submitted to DEP. It'll take them a few months to review. We're finishing up the preliminary design as we speak. So bottom line is early next year, we could be bidding this and getting this construction underway. I think one of the questions I'll anticipate is, what is this going to cost? We did a cost estimate. It's probably a year or two old already. Both pump stations, total construction cost was around $10 million. I'm certain it'll be much more than that. Recent bidding environment, costs for concrete have gone way up. So I would expect it to be maybe in the $13 to $14 million range. PennDOT will reimburse you for 75% of that, as well as your engineering costs, planning costs, if there's any acquisition costs. So that's pretty much where we're at with this plan. It's, like I said, straightforward what we're proposing to do, but somewhat complicated to design. It has to be coordinated with all of PennDOT's work, with Veolia's work, with gas work and all that. But we've been meeting with those utilities on a bi-weekly basis through this process to make sure those things are coordinated. So with that, I'll entertain questions if you have any.
I just want to clear up things before we get any questions, Madam President, with Mike, if I may. Just so we're clear in the public understanding, yes, PennDOT will pay for 75% of this project, and the township will pay for 0% of this project. This is actually a sewer project that has to be adopted by the township. And I know, obviously, from sitting on the sewer board, and I like to thank the managers and the past managers, because you put us in a great position where there's no need for a rate increase because we have the funds. And the sewer board members are sitting in the crowd too. We have the funds to pay for our portion of the 25%, although we don't want to have to. And we've already had a round of meetings with some of our state reps because, this was thrown on the sewer because of a project that the state decided that they wanted to do. And some of the problems in the first round of meetings that myself and Commissioner Connolly represented the township, because he's the sewer liaison for the township in the first round of meetings with the state reps and PennDOT. That was our biggest argument is, why should our residents have to pay for a project that you decided to do? Why can't you fund 100% of this project? I don't know, so my first round of question from me would be, is there any grants out there that could possibly cover the 25% that the sewer, even though we have the money already to pay for it, but is there any grants that you think that we can go after or look at to cover that 25% of the cost if the state doesn't budge? I'm sure Commissioner Collins is going to want to have more round of meetings, because I said the same thing to him. If the state just doesn't budget to provide some of the additional 25%.
There are grant programs out there that are generally designed for, they're generally broad. I think a project like this could score well because it's multi-jurisdictional. It impacts a lot of people. I can make a recommendation on a couple. Some of the grant programs are annual. They're the gambling money.
Right.
Has whole grant programs that reimburses money. You may qualify for a couple $100,000 or $1 million, no guarantees, but I can make some recommendations on that.
Well, any grant is acceptable to us. Anything we get, because my concern, I talked to Vice President Steele about this, if you part with the money now, you don't know what's coming later. So this is a project that, my feeling is we would be worthy of a grant, because PennDOT had a lot of money to pay eminent domain on all the other properties, and we lost tax revenue from that. We lost, the property tax, obviously 82 parcels, but we lost jobs and we lost residents. So we lost a lot of different funding sources, and there was no program. And we met and we talked to everybody we could talk to, and there was absolutely no program. And we know that amount of loss of tax revenue would have crushed other municipalities. There's not a borough, I don't think, that would have survived it, but townships and even cities would have struggled. So we've had some conversations. Our level of alarm has come down with 75%. We start hearing those big numbers. But the number that's left is a big number to us. And I'm not saying necessarily this board, we have to take this action here, but we all pay those fees. So it's going to be our money a different way. So anything, some small grants, if there were multiple grants, is keeping that money available for sewer for the next, expenditure. So, and the next one, just say isn't connected to something like this where we were going to have to spend the money anyway. So we truly are appreciative of any direction you can point us to, even though it's the sewer side, we'll have a conversation with our engineer, anybody who does grants. I would think that we would have a good chance if there's money out there, but unless something happens, that is a significant amount of money. And Mr. Steele said, we have the money, maybe sewer has the money, but you get it from the ratepayers, and put that much out on this type of project. That's all I'm really saying. That, I remember the early meetings with PennDOT when this thing was starting up, and their costs have also escalated. And yes, it was a $1 billion project, a 1.5, now it's over a $2 billion project. They have the billions, we don't. So I'll just end it there.
Understood.
Can you speak, because one thing we didn't, and I'm sorry, Commissioner, if anybody's like, but I think there's one piece missing. Can you speak of the urgency with PennDOT and obviously the redevelopment of the mall, and why PennDOT is pressuring us to get this ahead of schedule, and if we don't, we'll lose the funding to actually be able to do the project?
Well, that is correct. Certain portions of this project have to be either installed by us before PennDOT starts or incorporated into their project. We're planning on doing a little bit of both. Most of the pipeline work will be incorporated. Their contractor will build it. The pump stations themselves, because they are outside of the right-of-way or the construction zone of this project, we have to build that. So we have to get started on that and have them done and ready when the PennDOT contractor is ready to hook it up. So time is of the essence. The mall has agreed to do the PennDOT improvements that are out in front of the mall. That just so happens to be where our force main is going to go from the Bass Pro pump station. So now we have to carve that out, and we'll have to bid that as soon as possible to get a contractor out there to install that pipe, that force main, before the mall does their improvements. Because once the mall does the improvements and does the overlays, we're not going to be allowed to dig that back up.
And then I know Commissioner Tucky wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, I was pretty much, I've been answered for the most part. I feel the same, but of course, we need to go for all the grant money we can possibly do. It's a
station is, most people, right? Can you explain what a force main is?
So the pumps generate the energy, they push the sewage into the force main. Force main is the pipe that will now carry it from the pump station to the receiving manhole, wherever it is. Both of them will ultimately go to Capital Region Water, but it's just a pipe. I think in our case, 12-inch.
Yeah,
12-inch diameter.
and then most of the gravity is 8.
Just a lot of things I learned, and it's when you think, and I was talking to President Ellis, when you think about treating poop, you just think it goes down the toilet, goes down here, something magic happens, right? But there's pumping stations, there's force mains.
Tubing down there, bring kids.
It's funny, I just literally said that.
Blow your mind.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, me and your dad will tell you, you probably think it stinks, but
It doesn't.
that's tough, boys. You do a good job.
The only other question that I have too, or just for clarification, we're saying it's about, you're guessing around 13 million, so about 3.2 million that the sewer authority would be responsible for.
Correct.
All right, so.
And just for the public, because I'm going to speak to sewer real quick, so you have an understanding, because when you see 3.2, the current board position, well, let me back up. The previous managers positioned us, and the current managers, to put us in a good solvent position. And the current board put us in a better financial position because what they did was they took the money and invested it. So something like this is going to be paid for from pure investments. Your rates will not increase over the $3.2 million project, no matter what anyone says, because if we wanted to pay cash for the capital investment right now, we could, but it's smarter for us to maintain our investments and pay for this project over time.
And also, if you have the money in hand, it's easier to leverage grants for match, so.
Yes, they all require matches.
All right, so since we were holding a special meeting with regard to this topic, we will go ahead and open it up for public comment. So if anyone from the public has anything that they'd like to ask with regard to this special study, feel free to come forward and ask your question.
No one likes poop?
All right, and so then, is there anything else that either of you wanted to add at this point? Does anyone from our board have any further questions at this time? No?
I just have one thing else. I see we have some members of our authority here. I appreciate the work that you do. Thank you.
All right. So I don't think we did motions or anything like that. So I will entertain a motion for approval of this special study.
So moved.
We have a motion. I'll second. We already had the discussion, but if there's anything else.
Resolution number?
Yes, this is going to be resolution R-2025-47. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So that is approved. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming and presenting that. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike and Mike. Appreciate you.
All right.
Can you give us, one quick thing, can you give us that map? I know President Ellis is going to ask for that to be posted. And the map, and then can you email this package? And then we can put it on our website. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 10, building and codes plan. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Director Zach Golden. Okay.
So move for 10A.
We have a motion for 10A. I'll second, and then our solicitor is going to give some information with regard to this is consideration of updated resolution, preliminary land development plan for Smithland warehouse development.
Thank you. I'll be brief with this. At the August 13th board meeting, this board approved a resolution which was to approve the preliminary land development plan for the Smithland warehouse development. In the municipality's planning code, there is a process by which developers can submit a preliminary plan or can request a waiver of the preliminary plan requirement and only submit essentially a combined preliminary and final land development plan. By submitting the preliminary plan, it gets the process started, but it also requires an opportunity for the developer to come back before the board with a final plan, which oftentimes is a continuation of the preliminary. There's additional discussion with staff, there's additional checks that need to be checked off, compliance with all the requirements as part of the final plan approval process. Because most of the time, the preliminary requirement is waived, we just deal with the final plan. In this case with Smithland, it was a true preliminary plan, so they are not requesting a waiver of that requirement. They will be submitting a final plan to come back before the board at some point in the future. However, the resolution that the board approved last month included language that is part of what I'll call the form resolution that applies to the final plans only, which includes a requirement that all the conditions be completed and the plan be recorded within 90 days of that approval. That is language that comes straight from the MPC, the municipality's planning code, but it is clear that it only applies in the case of final land development plans. So the attorney for Smithland flagged that issue. I looked at it. He's correct. I discussed it with the board. He's correct. The language that was in part of the resolution last month does not apply here because it's only a preliminary plan. It doesn't change anything else that the board discussed. It doesn't change any of the testimony that you heard in August. It doesn't eliminate any of the questions or comments or concerns that were raised. All of that will still play out through the regular process of converting this preliminary plan into a final at some point in time. We don't know when that would be, for them to come back before the board. So it is just correcting that technical defect in the resolution so that there's no requirement for Smithland to proceed within 90 days. I think it's safe to say a lot of people in the audience would prefer that they take their sweet time with it and not have to get it done in 90 days. But if they pushed back about that, they would win that argument anyway, and we'd just be right back to where we sit tonight now, approving a new document. So it is my recommendation that you approve the resolution. There are some minor changes to the language, but the main one is removing that fourth condition that requires completion and recording of the plan within 90 days. We don't know when that final plan would come. They have a lengthy period of time. They could sit on that preliminary approval if they wanted to, but at some point, once they want to proceed with that final plan, you'll have the opportunity to address all the questions and concerns that were brought up previously and make sure everything's been completed. Happy to answer any other questions you may have about that.
Just for the public, we said that they have a lengthy time. I believe you mentioned that it was 5 years. Is that correct for the timeline? Okay.
Correct.
So sometime within or up to 5 years, they would have before submitting the final plan.
Correct.
I'm not saying that it's going to be 5 years. I'm saying that's the length of time that they would have between this step and the next step. Do we have any further discussion at this time? All right. Hearing no discussion, Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
No.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice President Steele?
Yes.
President Ellis?
Yes. All right. That's going to be Resolution R-2025-48. Now we're up to consideration of resolution preliminary final land development plan for 4031 Executive Park Drive. Now I'll turn it over.
Motion 10B.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second, and then we'll have Director Golden go ahead and go over the plan for the
All
public.
right, thank you, Madam President. This is the 4031 Executive Park Drive preliminary / final land development plan. The property owner is Central Dauphin School District, and for there are two properties. Lot 1 is going to be 63-027-158 tax parcel, and then I'm going to say lot 2 is 63-027-193. The property address is just the same as the plan name, 4031 Executive Park Drive, and this is in the limited commercial CL zoning district. The proposed project consists of the change of use of the former AFSCME Council 13 office building to an early childhood learning center, which is going to be kindergartners, with internal traffic improvements on lot 1. Lot 1, you can see on the screen, is where the circle, the turnaround is. And the facility proposes to accommodate up to 288 students and 36 staff members. The two existing stormwater BMPs on lot 1 will be eliminated and replaced with a soft surface play area and loading dock. And the proposed stormwater runoff will be sent to the new stormwater BMP on lot 2, which is the northeastern portion of your screen. So the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission did provide comments in your packet. They provided those on April 18th of this year. The Township's Planning Commission met on September 2nd and unanimously recommended approval of the deferral in the plan with the same conditions as outlined in your staff memo. They are requesting one deferral, which is deferral of the requirement to install 160 linear feet of sidewalk along Chambers Hill Road, which is shown in red on the screen and in your packets, sheet C103 of the revised plan. Staff do not object to this deferral request as there an existing PennDOT guide railing at this location. There will be sidewalks along Chambers Hill Road installed. The other sections also along Executive Park Drive. We are recommending approval of the preliminary land development plan with the conditions as outlined in your memos. There is two items that I would like to bring up in the memos. When you go to Dogwood's review memo under Saldo number 5, so we did require a traffic impact study for this location, and it was determined that a traffic signal is warranted at the intersection of Executive Park Drive and Chambers Hill Road. And they also are required to install a westbound turn lane. The applicant may work in partnership with PennDOT, but the development may not operate until safe and effective access can be provided at this site. It's my understanding that PennDOT was going to be doing these improvements in or around 2028. However, with this development, they will be required to install those. Hopefully, they can work with PennDOT to do some cost sharing. But we are requiring that due to safety concerns with traffic. With that in mind, I am open to take any questions. And the applicant's representative, Ryan, is also here.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Schuster, K&W Engineers. We are the civil engineer on this project. Like Zach mentioned, the one topic that I want to bring up is the HOP improvements. Our concern right now is with the timeline we're working with the schedule for the building occupancy. Because the HOP improvements is a relatively recent development in the scope of this project, the permitting is just started. The school district needs to be opened next fall for allow the children to be in school. That is a very difficult time frame for PennDOT. So we would just like to request that all improvements be installed minus the HOP improvements while we finish the work with PennDOT. Understand that there is a concern with safety, but right now the school district isn't really proposing too much additional traffic. It's younger kids, they're not going to be driving, just really bus traffic. So because of the school district's scheduling constraints, we would like to just make a request that the condition be internal improvements can be constructed, building occupancy as we finalize PennDOT permits, and then we will immediately construct the west turnbound lane as well as a traffic signal. I do have an architect, with this case, the architects here and a representative from the school district. It would help hearing a little bit more background information on the internal functions of the school. But that is our concern right now, that we would like to just make the request.
I can respond to that.
There's
So, yeah, we did receive the application. Let's see the date going back. So we received the original application back in March of 2025. One of the first comments made by our traffic engineer from Dawood was that a traffic impact study would be required. Respectfully, there was a little bit of pushback from the school district. I believe if they would have took our direction from the very beginning, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now. We're really concerned, our traffic engineer is really concerned that, this is a school. Maybe if it was a different use, it would be a little bit different, but the impact study shows, the data shows that these are warranted now. So we would be concerned on a safety standpoint, especially with buses, parents, everything. If we push these back, I understand they want to open up as soon as possible, but we're really concerned about that. We would not support that condition.
I mean, I guess I'm going to answer to that is we have a right of way through our property. So if we would grant, I don't think you would need the HOP at that point where you could come through our property on the township, and that's something in the earlier stages we had talked about, with the playground and everything else. I think we could get around that. That's a closed loop parking lot. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a traffic light was going there whether the school district was going there or not with the 83 project upgrade. But can we get away from that? Just letting them come through our property? I mean, what would...
They would have to do a new traffic study to determine if that's safe or not.
To come through our property?
Because the traffic would be generated going a different route.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have to do that with PennDOT because they would be utilizing all township roads and then coming basically on our municipal campus here now.
So you would have to close down that intersection at Chambers Hill Road and Executive Park Drive because saying that you can't go in there and closing it off is different because people...
No, I'm not saying that they couldn't go in there, but they could route their buses through our parking lot up through their closed loop parking lot and then right back out our parking lot.
Well,
there's nothing to stop them from doing it today, even if it wasn't a school there. That's my point. I get that they're going to put a school there, but whatever we can. Here's my position, so I won't speak for everyone else. I have been a big fan of all-day daycare. I am going to benefit from all-day daycare. That does not. I'm not all-day daycare, all-day kindergarten. In no way, shape, or form does that determine my vote. I'm basically looking at the statistics of the demographics of our community, and I know that there are benefits to children going to school and being able to be more successful in life when that starts at all-day kindergarten. So whatever we can do as a board to make sure within the legal confines of the law that this goes through, it needs to go through. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to hash back and forth about the traffic and all the other things. I think this is a big benefit to a underprivileged community because as we look at some of the older neighborhoods, these neighborhoods are underprivileged and they have the ability to put black, brown, women, all races in school where they would normally be at home or running the streets with their older siblings possibly during the day, but they can be in kindergarten and early learning. Not only that, if you're familiar now with the school district where every kid gets offered something to eat now, and I didn't know that until just recently because my child is in kindergarten at Chambers Hill. And you would be surprised at the number of children that are malnourished because they can't eat at home. And this kindergarten will provide snacks and food for these children. It's beneficial, and I tell this board right now, and I'll keep reiterating, I'm going to beat this drum hard, and I don't think I need to, but this needs to pass.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we knew traffic light was coming there. I think that was part of the confusion because the township and probably the school district, we started to look at this, you saw that there was going to be a connection from 40th Street over the highway. There's going to be a new bridge, and there was going to be a traffic light. So we early meetings looked at what we thought was going to be a signalized intersection. I didn't think about the part that it had to be signalized on your time, but I also thought that PennDOT was moving pretty quickly, because we have another area there that was being developed, and part of one of those scoping meetings talked about this intersection and the traffic signal. I don't know how long it takes, but I feel I won't feel that I'm doing the right thing to take it out right now. We're willing to do whatever we can. If you sat here earlier, you heard that we fought our way to 75% reimbursement on our project, and we're still not happy. But I feel like I agree with Commissioner Steele that the school is important, so we don't want to see it delayed in any way. So, but at the same time, I'm not comfortable taking out a safety requirement at an intersection where 288 children are going to go to school. Things happen, put it that way. So, hearing what you said and knowing that it's a problem for all of us, we're willing to do whatever we can, whether it's state rep, whether it's our senator. I don't think anybody wants to see a school not open on time because of a PennDOT requirement. And we've seen them, this is already in the planning stages, and there's something there. So we have a pathway to get something done. Other times we would have the meetings and nothing would happen for years. But I will say, once we've seen them break ground and start moving in the township recently, perfect example, the 29th Street Bridge is coming along, and I know there's a delay there. I don't know, I don't know what to. I mean, I don't want you to say you're not open at school on September 1st or something like that, but right now we have a year to get this done. It's a left turn lane on a road that exists. We're not building a road, and it's traffic signals on a road that's there. Maybe that speeds PennDOT up, because they, like I said, they were going to have to do it in one of the phases of that 40th Street improvement. So I don't know. I asked Zach and he didn't know the answer, but I feel like we saw the next intersection down that's signalized sit dormant for years and years and years. Yeah. But it just got done. And when the work started, curb cuts, and they had some problems. They found pipes that they didn't know were there. There were some issues, so it wasn't smooth. But that got done in a relatively short amount of time, and that was over a winter. This is the same thing you're dealing with. So, I mean, we're happy to work with you, do anything we can from the. I mean, the township's position is we want you to be successful. We want it to open on time, but and I'm just one vote, but I can't see pulling out something that really is there for the safety of the students, staff, and other pedestrians going through that intersection. And feeling confident that it's September now, and even if what we saw with other projects, if all the talking happens and all the planning happens, March, April, May, June, I've seen it right down the street at Chambers Hill Elementary School. I said, how are they going to get that school open? And then right before school opened, then the dumpsters and all the repair people weren't there anymore, but it was a work in progress right up until showtime, and you guys accomplished that at multiple schools. So that's I agree. I think we all agree we want to see it get open, but that's a big ask here tonight.
If that was do not enter and they came through the other way, then it could happen. Is that what you were alluding to?
Well, I don't want to give you a definite.
That's fine. If you don't want to answer that, that's
we
fine.
would need to reevaluate.
Okay,
with our
I'm with
engineer.
that.
One thing, the Building and Codes Department, Commissioner Connolly and myself are more than willing to do is process their zoning permits, their building permits, their stormwater permits, everything in the meantime while they get these improvements done. So, when they're ready, they're ready. So we can expedite all the permits with no issues.
We do really appreciate that. That would be a big help.
Is it something that if it doesn't work that way, maybe we could look at it being an option, I guess? at least think about it, right?
That's kind of what, so I wasn't necessarily alluding to taking it out of the project.
Okay.
I was just recommending that it doesn't hold up building occupancy. That the students can still use the building while the HOP work is maybe still being permitted or still being under construction. We're just concerned that construction wouldn't be finalized by the opening of school. It very well may be, but with the way time's going fast, we're just kind of getting close to that.
I don't want to touch that one about.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to issue the occupancy permit until all the improvements are completed. But we can get you to that point.
Yeah.
And then once the state signs off on that, you get it the same day.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's no way you can do that safely and by all rights.
So if we move forward with everything that's presented this evening, we'll be able to reevaluate the potential for rerouting where you'll enter and exit while this is going on, which you know that we will do everything that we can.
Which is very much appreciated.
Yeah,
It is a big help.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say we'll be reaching out to the state and the state reps and the state
advocate on your
senator
behalf as
very,
well
very
as
quickly
figure
to
out
make this happen.
if needed an alternate.
Okay, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you get any information from the state, if you don't mind passing it along, because things have been very vague on our end on what exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, you weren't the only one waiting for an HOP. We were waiting for an HOP. We're in the park. That's how I learned that we could come through different
When
routes.
I saw the sewer plan up here earlier, I was hoping that was going to be the HOP information. I was like, oh, fine. But no.
Ryan, do you know when you're going to be doing the scoping meeting application?
For the
with
safety work?
PennDOT?
No, we're going through some ASA work on our side to do the work. I would expect within the next few weeks, I'm hoping.
And that's a perfect time where I can ask gently to
Those
the PennDOT. I'll ask Commissioner Connolly to come as well, and then we'll try to do our best for PennDOT to push it forward as fast as they can. I think we can do something.
Okay.
Yeah, any assistance is definitely appreciated on our end. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything further at this time? All right. Then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's going to be resolution R-2025-49. All right. So we are up to the reports for this evening. We're not going to go through all of them. They will be posted because, again, this was a special meeting. It was my fault that we didn't have the meeting last week. So thankfully, we had something else scheduled so that we could still conduct the business that needed to be done. But the only thing that I'll ask is, do we have a solicitor's report? Anything else from you, Solicitor Cocorisi?
Nothing else from me.
Okay. I will make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the rest too.
No.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we got to.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion.
Just reports.
Just all reports and then
Okay.
you post.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's why I was looking for the extra.
Well, we generally don't do the motion on any of the other ones, so that's why we're going to say that. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. So now we're up to item 12, approval of the Swatara Township interim manager agreement. I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, then we'll go ahead and open it up for discussion. If there is any.
I don't know if I had that in the packet. Yes.
The only thing that I'll say for this is, I believe it was August 13th, we named Manager Trafka the interim township manager. With that role, obviously he'll have additional responsibilities and duties. This is just to get something in writing to go over the compensation. And we believe there'll be about 20 extra hours per week committed to this role as well. Do we have anything else at this time?
Yeah, I am in favor of anyone that takes on additional duties, and I've always been that to keep costs low. There's some concern for me in this agreement that I think I would have liked myself to have more discussion and input, just to come up with a better plan. I get the background and information of what it came about, but you know, $120 an hour over 20 hours additional a week on top of a six-figure salary now. I mean, in 21 weeks, $52,000 roughly, and I don't know if my math's on or not, but $52,000 paid to an intern manager in 21 weeks, and that doesn't include the employer portion of taxes, the retirement, and things that we'd have to do. So we're looking at almost, again, it relates to the consent agenda, C, D, E, F, G. You know, we're going to add essentially $80,000 to a budget in the fourth quarter of the game here, and I don't know where it fits. I mean, I would have liked to have some discussion to say, hey, look, let's pay the manager, you know, an extra $1,000 a quarter if that was it, or $2,000, or even extra $500 a week. But I know just based upon the duties that we divvied up in the building, and this is no pun at our intern manager, but our intern manager, or any manager, is a figurehead now. And the number one priority is going to be controlling our expenses and our finances. A lot of the tasks have been divvied up throughout the whole entire staff here at the township when we right-sized and went through change management and gave other employees additional money for doing other duties. So there's not a lot to the township manager besides managing managers, and I understand that could be tough. I feel bad for anyone that's the manager here. Trust me, not just you, Kevin. Anyone, because managing managers is probably the toughest job that you'll ever have in the world. I'm not saying that Kevin is not worth something, because day one on this property, I have been in favor of the more responsibility that Kevin Trafka does. That he is rewarded with the work that he does. And for those of you that don't know, Kevin does run, from a manager standpoint, he manages the sewer authority, the stormwater authority, and public works. And he has so graciously, and I still don't understand why, took on the intern manager position, which is probably the toughest position that we have in this township. The only thing that I'm going to say again, and the reason why I have to back it off, or actually I thought it was $120, it's actually $125 per hour. I think we need some more conversation with this and some more due diligence before I can agree to something like this. But I'm not saying here in no way, shape, or form that when you take on additional responsibilities, you're worth a little bit extra money because you're doing extra duties. And I'll leave it at that, Madam President.
Does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I have some.
Did you want to go, Commissioner Tucky? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Was it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
I didn't see that.
Yep, go ahead.
The pay and duties is something that I researched and talked to other members of the CAPCOG. We've had neighboring municipalities that had similar things. One example I came across was $132 an hour. I generally don't talk about salaries. I'm not going to say anything about a current salary. But there's a lot of extra duty. So if you have somebody that's already working 40 hours and then they have to put in this extra time, I feel like we want a professional who has the background. The board was unable to hire a manager. I was part of the process. There's 3 people on the committee. I ranked some of the people that were interviewed. Others did not. So we're at the point now where we're getting through the year, and I think Kevin does a great job. But I'm not voting for this because it's Kevin. I'm voting because this is an interim manager. In the future, I'd hate to see us try to get an interim manager and say that we gave somebody a couple $500 a week or something. Like it's a real position with real duties. This interim manager didn't come from the outside, so there is no additional health coverage or vehicle. So we're saving money. And had we actually hired a manager, the the cost of a good municipal manager for a township our size is a pretty high salary, and then it could be a vehicle and healthcare. So I look at this as a savings. It's an interim position, it's a savings, and we have a hands-on person who really is taking on a lot. And I have no doubt that the hours will not be 20 hours. It'll be much more. Kevin, if you know him, he works on his tasks and he does a good job. So I'm voting more for the position and the compensation in general, and that it does actually apply to one person who I believe is very capable of fulfilling those duties.
Thank you. Do you want to go, Commissioner Tucky?
This spot's been empty for quite a long time. It needs filled. Kevin's more than capable to handle being the manager, and I appreciate him stepping up and doing so. There's so many spots in our township, positions that were taken beginning of 2024. And then there's so many things combined and consolidated together to try to save money. At this point, I mean, through the highway workers, we've been down without at least 4 for quite a long time. We gotta be a little bit better shape than what it sounds like overall, I think. I appreciate, again, Kevin stepping up and helping with this position, and I think he's more than capable of being able to handle the job properly. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'll go. Like I said, generally I would not discuss salary in public either. I don't think that's fair to employees. I've said that when it was other commissioners that did it. I'll say it again now. But with regard to the amount and the hours, I worked on this. So again, if we're going to blame someone for the communication, put it on me. But I researched the agreement with Lower Paxton. It's almost verbatim what we have in hours. The amount is the exact same. The hours are less because for them, they were hiring someone that was outside of their employment. Theirs was 32 hours at that rate, and the person would be off on Fridays. So this was my attempt to use something that already existed and to be fair to someone that has continuously stepped up and taken on additional roles and done more with less. And I think he's well deserving of the amount. And again, it wasn't something that I made up out of nowhere. It came from something that was very recent with Lower Paxton. So does anyone have anything else at this time?
Yeah, I did. Something just came to my mind when Commissioner Tucky. I don't understand how we talk month after month, and this isn't hypotheticals that we're in a better situation. We're not in a better situation. We are maintaining with continual bleeding if we don't shore things up, and this is part of this. And I've said month after month, and I might have said it every month or every other month, but there is some discussion where I say something about the finances, and there has been no additional revenue. At your budget meeting, the treasurer showed that we went from a valuation of $5.8 billion to $5.5 billion, which will, again, next year will be a loss of revenue of about $108,000 to our general fund. If you don't have an increase in revenue, there's 2 ways to maintain a balanced budget. It's either your head count goes down or you cut internal costs. And listen, we can't cut ordering paper. We can't cut pens and all these types of things. And again, I'll say, I'm not against some money going towards Kevin, because I will say this guy here, every time I have had a meeting with him and said, I need something extra of you, I have gotten that from him. And trust me and Kevin have had our back and forths and disagreements, but when you ask this man to step up and do something, I'm not going to take that from him. This guy will take on an extra task knowing that he can't complete it, but he'll still damn sure try to do it. So I want to give him his credit where his credit due. My biggest question and concern is, where does this leave us as far as the cost sharing agreement? Because the manager is in the cost sharing agreement, and now that the township has unilaterally decided to enter into a interim manager agreement, which is in the cost sharing agreement, essentially they have basically told the stormwater board and the sewer board that, our agreement is null and void, or they're going out on their own and doing their own thing without any involvement of the stormwater board and any involvement of the sewer board. So I'll take up the position that at the passage of this agreement, because the township did that such for themselves, they are actually signaling to the other boards that they are no longer in favor of the cost sharing agreement, which is only going to cost this township even more. So, and I'll leave it at that, Madam President. I have nothing else to say, and Kevin, you're a great guy, but I think this deserves some more due diligence. Thank you.
So with regard to that point with the cost sharing agreement, I did discuss that with Solicitor Cocorisi, and I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, because this was a while ago. I believe what we talked about was to present it to the personnel committee, and then if they were not interested, or I don't remember if that was this position or that was the executive assistant position.
We've had conversations about a couple different positions.
Right, yeah.
I know we spoke about I'll call it permanent manager, even though it's not permanent. I think you know what I mean. We spoke about how the permanent manager could be filled in that process through the cost sharing agreement with the joint personnel committee. And then we spoke about it with the executive assistant position. I don't believe you and I had a conversation about the interim manager role specifically.
Thank you. That's fine.
To follow up on Commissioner Steele's comment, it is a shared position, the township manager. It should go to the joint personnel committee if you're looking for the two authorities to contribute to the cost of the person filling that role. Alternatively, since the board here this evening is already discussing it, that could be brought to the respective authority boards separately, but they would be free to vote how they want.
Right. So then again, with that, what we'll do then is present it and see what happens with the joint personnel committee. And obviously there are 5 people, one is absent tonight, that sit on the Stormwater Authority Board. And frankly, it's fine if this comes out of the township budget because it's something that hasn't been needed. It's been talked about, like Commissioner Tuckey said, for over a year and a half at this point. And we have someone that's willing to step up and take on a huge task. We're going to make it work. Does anyone have anything else?
I think that's a fair point to raise. Kevin will work 20 hours. Obviously, the township's missing a full-time manager, so there's 20 hours here. We shouldn't be necessarily picking how many hours he works for the other 2, but work with them, offer them, and see what they're thinking, and if there's it could be a cost sharing on the interim position if everybody agrees, but not absolutely necessary. So I think we're all kind of talking around it, and we could all end up with something that satisfies everybody. But in the meantime, I would expect Kevin to have 20 hours of work on just this side for now. So that's all I have.
Comes to enough of these meetings, it'll be 20 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's move right along.
Exactly. All right. Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice President Steele?
No.
President Ellis?
Yes. All right. We are on to item 13, consideration of agreement with Stilton Heights Fire School District to provide school resource officer services.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. By way of discussion, Solicitor Cocarizzi, could you just give a brief overview of why this is on the agenda?
I could, or I could put Lieutenant Kraling on the spot and ask if he would explain the arrangement. He could probably give you better detail than I.
Checkmate. Good move.
Sorry, I should have just started talking myself.
Exactly what,
Ooh,
I'll hold it
yeah,
down.
there you go.
So for the last probably about 12 or so years, we have worked in cooperation with the Stilton High Spire School District to house a school resource officer within the school. I've been here long enough where prior to us having an officer there, and I can tell you how many times, it would take our patrol officers to respond down to that school. And with this agreement with the school district, that has eliminated our most of our patrol response, not all of our patrol response, with being able to put an officer within that school. In order to do that, there is a cost-sharing measure where the school district actually pays for the price to have that officer down there. So they pay for the 9 months that he's there during the school, and then the township pays for the other 3 months of his salary when the school is not in session. In order to do this, that's what this memorandum of understanding is for an agreement for us to be able to do that.
Thank you. And then
I
just
could add, sorry, in addition to the specific aspect of having the police officer from the township stationed at the school district, there are other statutory requirements, things like record keeping, things like sharing of information, what the response is in certain circumstances based on certain issues that may arise. So there's a lot more detail in the agreement that I won't bore the board with tonight. It's all pretty standard stuff as far as these arrangements go. The real key is that the school year has started again and there's an officer there, so we need to get this agreement approved. It does cover the full salary and benefits, so it's the fully loaded rate, if you will, for that officer for the 9 months out of the year that he or she is working within the school building.
And then just for the public, the reason that we're talking about this with the Stilton High Spire School District is because the high school actually sits within Swatara Township. You wouldn't think that that would be how that works, but it is. So that's why we have an officer at the school. Do we have any further discussion at this time?
Just two things. The school district's administration building, their elementary school and the high school all sit in the boundaries of Swatara Township. And the officer that's down there has a therapy dog tattoo. So we have Officer Ben Stewart there and tattoo. And I've been down there many times with those two, but other officers. And it seems like there's a very good relationship. They're part of the family. They do a good job down there. And having an officer there, as Lieutenant Craig was saying, diffuses situations that get bigger over time. So a minor disagreement, whether it's students, staff, or parents, now you have the presence of a police officer. It's not a police state. It's not heavy-handed. It's just having somebody there, whereas something could escalate, and then we'd be pulling patrols from other places to go down there. And with the population of people in a small place for so many hours per day, the chance of having a police call is relatively high. So Lieutenant Kraling addressed the fact that once the township took this position and we staffed this role, it's really benefited us from community relations, conduct, building bridges with the students, but it's also saved the taxpayers money. So I'm be happy to vote for this.
All right. Anything further from anyone? No. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Lieutenant Kraling. One second. My number's in the crease. All right, we're up to item 14, consideration of resolution, grant application for Dauphin County LSA Bishop Park splash pad.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This application is to request $500,000 to support the development of a splash pad at Bishop Park. So that's we're reaching out to Dauphin County to see if we'll be awarded for that amount. Does anyone have anything else for discussion? All right, hearing nothing. All those in.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just start talking. You don't have to.
Well, I'm trying to be respectful. But
I understand, but you're good. Just start talking because I'm not always
I
looking.
didn't see information. What is a splash pad? I'm sorry. I'm
That's
assuming
okay.
it's water and stuff.
Yes.
but it's-
So essentially, it's like the. I don't know if you've been to Hershey Park. They have a section where it just has like water things above ground. So like there'll be towers that water flows into, and something will dip, like tip over and fall on you. It could be like circular things where water sprays in the middle. It's something where kids will be able to get wet, but it's not a pool. Everything is above ground, and there could be like fountains, things like that. Lots of different options. So that again, it'll be something that children will be able to come to and in the summer have the opportunity to cool off, but without all of the expenses that go along with a pool.
Okay. $500,000.
That's the grant request.
Just apply for a
Yes.
grant.
I understand that. I got that.
Something like this.
Right.
Just one.
Yeah, I know.
Playground.
Again, Hershey Park has a section that's like this. I've been to one of these that's actually county run in Altoona. I believe it's Juniata County. They have a facility like this that the county provides. It's very minimal cost to attend, and I think this is something that would be good to give back to kids and families. Does anyone have anything else at this time? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That grant application is going to be resolution R-2025-50. We are up to item 15, consideration of resolution grant application for RACP Bishop Park Phase 2.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. By way of discussion for the public again, this grant application is for $1.4 million to support Phase 2 of Bishop Park, which it says includes the planned splash pad. We were successful with this one. Again, that's for Bishop Park? No, it was for, we were successful with an RACP or RCAP. I don't know, sometimes.
No, we have $2.5 million for public safety.
Yes,
building.
that's what-
We got something that was called a C2, I want to say
C2P2.
C2, RD2, C3PO, something. One of those.
You're close.
But that was 800,000, and we have another 500,000, maybe closer to 6 of additional grants.
Just for the public, the 2.5 we said was for the public safety building.
Yes.
The other numbers that he just referenced have already been awarded and will go towards Phase 1 of Bishop Park. So does anyone else have anything to add at this time? All right, hearing nothing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that grant application will be resolution R-2025-51. We're up to item 16, approval of the Chambers Point Park engineering and design services and construction cost estimate.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. The documents for that are not in the packet.
I think they were in the email though.
They were in the email. Let me bring that up. Do either of you want to go into any of that information while I'm looking for the email?
Yeah, I mean, that's just basically the redesign of, and Kevin touched on this if I mess this up and butcher this, but essentially, with the disturbance and then the current stormwater basins, Dogwood seen fit that we add some type of infiltration underneath the basketball courts that our guys are going to build to get us to where we need to be as far as stormwater management. And that's essentially the corrections that need to be made there.
Correct.
I'm getting better. Thank you. And I think that's just going to be strictly for that basketball court, right? Or in the pavilion.
It would be all the impervious will go into that infiltration basin,
Okay.
Which will again allow water to infiltrate into the ground because of the amount of impervious that's proposed. So, yep.
And I did get the memo to come up with regard to the cost for this. It says that the total fee for these additional services will be $12,072. So does anyone have anything else at this time with regard to this? All right.
I just want to add that it's minimal because there's a lot of stormwater improvements in that area, which basically, when people see the park, they will think that it was built directly in front of retention ponds and swales and things like that, because it was. So it's adding, and that just shows that we're following the rules that we set for everybody else. We're taking an area that was grass, and we put some structure and we paved an area. So we realized that increases the amount of stormwater that runs off. So we want to be compliant and make the improvement that matches. It's all calculated on the flows and how much water. And early in the process, it looked like we might not be required to do that, but once the numbers showed that we were, that's why we're doing it.
Thank you. All right. Anyone have anything else? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is approved. And we're up to the final item for action on the agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion. I'll second. It's consideration of resolution, appointment of Zach Golden as Assistant Right to Know Officer. And do we have any discussion at this time?
I think we just would want to say
Yeah,
it's just a necessary position due to some, I don't know how I want to word that.
This is something that is needed so that we can continue to complete the right to knows that are coming in. So I don't know if anyone has anything else at this time. Yep, go ahead.
Nothing against Zach, but I would have preferred to have someone else in that place. So I'm going to be a no.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything else at this time?
Issues that's been happening. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would just like to remind the board, if you pass this evening, there is also a form that needs to be completed and submitted to the Office of Open Records to get it on record with the state who the right to know officers actually are here. That's all.
Yeah. And the only thing that I'll add is Mr. Golden already has experience with right to know law and processing right to know requests from his previous employment. So we'll be having someone again as an assistant, not the only right to know officer, so that if situations arise where the right to know officer is not available, we have someone that can still process the requests that come in. All right, Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tucky?
No.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice President Steele?
Yes.
President Ellis?
Yes. And that will be resolution R-2025-52. We're up to our second visitors' requests and comments. If you have anything you'd like to share with the board, please come forward, state your name and address, as well as write them down for documentation purposes. And then you may begin. All right. Not seeing anyone jumping up. Up to 19. This is on our agenda every time, every meeting. So possible stormwater violations. Not seeing anyone jump up for that. We're up to 20. Commissioners' requests and comments, additional business and correspondence. Commissioner Tucky?
There's a lot of stuff I've been concerned about with this past year and a half plus. What's been done with our staff over the past, 18 months, 19 months, has been a major concern of mine. We took competent people, got them out of the building to save on the budget, is what we were told. We were told that we bankrupt the township, which wasn't the case. I'm grateful that, Kevin stepped up. He's going to be the interim manager at this point, and I appreciate him stepping up and taking that responsibility. I definitely would like to see more transparency through this board when people are requesting information. I believe there's certain things that can be produced. I don't break any rules. I'm not going to. But I just feel that we need to be a little bit more transparent in different ways than what we have been. I appreciate everyone that came out tonight. I know it's a lot of time to be sitting in these meetings, and I just hope as a township overall we can get better. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly?
Thank you. I'd like to point out that this being a Tuesday, not a Wednesday, that our police chief, fire chief, and at least one K-9 officer and K-9, maybe two, are at other meetings in the community. So we have requests for police K-9 and officer. I know Officer Gibson and Bain were going, but we might have had possibly Smith and Santi, I don't know, but American Legion donated a sizable check to the township to help purchase the most recent K-9 Bain, and they meet tonight, so we sent somebody there. We have Dolph County Fire Chiefs have their meeting tonight, so Chief Everson is there. Paxton has their local government meeting tonight, so I believe Superintendent Stauffer is there. And we're lucky to have Lieutenant Craving. Did a great job protecting us, but also was called to the microphone to explain something that was going on. I want to congratulate two Swatara Township firefighters, Dakota Schultz, who was also a township employee, and Dave Garber, both Swatara Fire Rescue firefighters that were hired in the initial full-time hiring of our neighbor Lower Paxton's full-time professional firefighter program. Both excellent gentlemen. I do want to offer condolences to the family of Ken Beard. He was a police officer here in Swatara Township for many years. I had the privilege to work with him when I did work in the township. He was a sergeant then, and I saw that he had recently passed, and I believe he was also fire chief in Paxton Borough some years ago. I also want to touch on the splash pad. We consider that, the reason we're asking for as much money as we asked for from the county, we consider that a regional destination. It's not something that we have in any of our other parks. We're putting it in the new park. We've been very successful at getting grant money. Hopefully we'll be successful with this request. If not, we'll try to find another way to get it. But it's a safe way for children to cool off, place for family to take them. It doesn't have the risk of drowning. We have many hotels and visitors throughout the warm weather season, and we think this will make the new park also a destination park, which helps us with our residents, but also the people that are spending time in the township will have something to do that's enjoyable. And the only thing, I like the description that we heard, but if you're familiar with it, also has like that cushiony, soft surface, so it's non-slip for kids. Yeah, and it's poured in place, and it will be seasonal, because of the temperature. And the other thing I want to talk about is we had a budget meeting for people that came in at 6 o'clock. We started at 6 o'clock with a budget meeting, and it's a work in progress. There's always more services that we would want to provide than there is revenue to pay for those things. So we have to balance that, either try to increase the revenue or find some other source of income, because the last thing we want to do is cut the services that our residents expect. At the same time, we see the price of everything going up across the board. So it's more challenging every year, and we'll continue to work hard. I thank Commissioner Vice President Steele for taking the lead on the budget meetings. We made it through 3 so far. We're basically hearing what we consider some needs, some absolute necessities, but this is the asking part from department heads based on their professional knowledge of where they're at and where they want to go. We're taking that information, and we have tough decisions to make. At the same time, I'm happy to be able to fill some spots. Police spots are, with 3 coming out of the academy, it'll be the highest number of police that we have. We have 5 canines. I think we're serving the residents really well. We took a hit with the 82 properties that came off of the tax rolls, but you're starting to see things coming back online. If you look all around the township, there's businesses. Some of those businesses have relocated, but additional new businesses, and the improvements are from end to end. Partnering with PennDOT, we would have loved to have gotten another $3.2 million for that sewer project, and we haven't given up on that. But if you drive by 29th Street, it's getting close. If you head down towards 82nd, Chambers Hill, 322, looking better. If you've been on Eisenhower Boulevard, pedestrian safety, Paxton Street, pedestrian safety, signals updated. So there's a lot of good things going on in the township. And I'm going to wrap up by saying the best thing for the people that are sitting here tonight and watching, all those things you're seeing have not caused a tax increase in this township for many years. So I'm committed to keeping that going. A lot of things go into that equation, and I trust that the board we have will be able to be successful through this budget season and into next year. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Vice President Steele.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to say thank you for everyone that came out and joined us in the crowd here, and then everyone that logged online. I don't have much to say. Have safe travels home, and let's get this meeting over with. Thank you.
And again, I just want to say congratulations to our interim township manager, Kevin Trafka. He's been with the township for over 25 years. he has served us diligently and he's willing to step up. So I'm very thankful to have him. And the only other thing that I'll say at this point, so that we can actually get out of here potentially before 9 o'clock, is that thank you to everyone that has showed up to this meeting. And I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. I'll just apologize to the public that last week's meeting had to be canceled. As we were talking about additional responsibilities going to different people, I took on the responsibility of the agenda, and last Tuesday, when I should have sent it to be posted, I neglected to do so because we had a budget meeting and work schedules changed. So a lot of people have taken on a lot of things, and I'm human, I make mistakes. So again, thank you to everyone that's here. Thank you to everyone that takes the time to watch these. I do also want to say thank you to Vice President Steele and Finance Director Yarzinski for their work on the budget presentations. We have, I believe, one more meeting next week or next month with regard to these budget meetings that are outside of our normal meeting times. So the next one will be October 7th. That'll be our final one that is on a Tuesday night. So thank you. I hope everyone gets home safe and has a great evening. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Your announcement for the links or whatever. I didn't want you to forget that.
What, did you want to go ahead and, yeah, so I'm going to rescind that motion for right now. We still got to end. The only thing I'm going to say is we still got to end before 9 o'clock.
I'll make it quick.
Okay.
So as you can see while you're in here tonight, the new screens are up on the walls. They are functioning. We thank you, Brittany, for trying it. This is the last meeting that we will be using this audio system. So next month we will be up and running with the new system completely. They were in here working on it, getting it programmed. So we will be switching over to using YouTube. We're going to share the link on Facebook as well. So it'll be hopefully broadcasted across multiple platforms. But I just wanted to mention to the public to stay tuned to our website and also to our Facebook. We'll post on there when we're going to go live. You may see some test runs with that. So if you do, let us know if you see it. But stay tuned. We're excited for everything to be up and operational, and we've talked about this for a long time. Let's get it done.
Motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Meeting is adjourned at 8:56 p.m.